Welcome back to Ascend Legal 101. I'm Ramona, and today I'm connecting with you through our podcast platform that you can find in all the places your favorite podcasts live. If you prefer YouTube, you know we'll be there as well. If you enjoy this conversation, please like it, share it with your friends, subscribe, follow, or leave us a review so that we can stay in touch. Welcome to April, my favorite month, because it's spring and I plant all my flowers that are going to make my life luscious all summer long. And it's also my birthday month. And just by saying my birthday month, you know I'm an Aries. I do love a good birthday month. Before we talk about our intention for April, I'd like to address last week's episode. I got so many direct messages about being too hard on myself, and I appreciate your good thoughts and all the good vibes. I love you for it, and I love the community that we're creating here. Here's the deal though. I believe it's important to show the places that we fuck up too. What I was trying to get across was that as leaders, CEOs, mentors, principals, bosses, parents, whoever we are in the world, we're not just walking around talking at people about stuff. We're standing in a leadership position, or if we're standing as a mentor, hopefully we can be and are self-aware enough to recognize when we aren't showing up the way we had intended to show up. Maybe in the moment we aren't as aware as we would like to be, but if you're truly a leader and you aren't debriefing with your team, you better be debriefing with yourself with an eye for what went right and what went wrong. Because if you know what went wrong, then you can fix it. That was the point I was trying to make. As for April's intention, speak your truth. When I posted about this intention, I had an interesting comment about truth in a legal context. My friend said, I cannot abide the expression your truth when used in connection with legal work. It seems even more off the mark. Do you ask your clients for their truth in an affidavit and swear it? Or the truth? Fact, based ideally with evidence. And it was a great point. I honor and respect her opinion. Truth can be subjective when we're dealing with people, especially in law. We never really get the truth, do we? We only ever get the version of the truth that they remember. And it's usually colored by their own perspective and experience, whether we like it or not. How does that saying go? You can't handle the truth. No, that's not what I meant. The truth is somewhere in the middle. That's where I was headed. Speaking your truth. What does that mean to you? When I was 38, I got a tattoo on my back that said, speak your truth. I didn't want it to be visible to the world, but I wanted to be able to see it when I looked in the mirror. I wanted it to be a reminder. And then I ignored it. I sort of started speaking my truth then. I certainly got better at it in my 40s, but I went through a time where I tried too hard to be a very, very nice and very fair person. I know that I wasn't as effective as I could have been because I wasn't speaking my truth. I wasn't taking action the way I normally, in big quotes, the way I normally would have. I was people-pleasing, and quite frankly, it never felt like a good fit for me. Now, my friends, it's game on. Speaking your truth will set you free, and so will listening. So, this month, while I have a lot to say, I'm also working very hard at listening, which we'll talk about, which is why I want to talk to some amazing people this month. And I have to tell you that listening, even talking about listening, is very hard for me. I have to work really hard at listening. Do you? Please tell me I'm not alone. Talking about speaking your truth without thinking first. Were we talking about that? I have said some things that were not very smart, even though I thought I was speaking my truth. And if you haven't noticed by now, my personality is such that I can be super direct. That might be from working with lawyers for more than 30 years, but I think part of that is just who I am. What I realize from having kids is that I likely have a touch of ADHD that was never addressed because in the 70s we were just called precocious and independent. I'm a really bottom line up front kind of person. I'm not always alive to other people's sensitivities. I have to be really cautious about being too blunt. And I can be mean, even if that's not my intention at all, because of my direct nature. And I'm aware of that, and I'm working on it. So in speaking my truth, I've had to learn some finesse. But I also know when people are trying to work me over. I've had people tell me that I've said some things when I know I did not do those things or say those things. I'm not saying that's always the case, but because I have to work hard at listening, when I'm trying to be on my best behavior, I have a laser sharp memory for who did what and who said what and how it was said and what color was the tablecloth and what we were all wearing, and that it was around 7:30 p.m. on March 30th, 1997, because it was Mark's birthday before we had the cake. I know that I wasn't the one who made the waitress cry. I have to work hard at minding my manners and listening in a lot of settings. So I have a really good remembery for awkward detail about people. I don't know if it's the female brain or it might be the law part. I just don't know, but I'm pretty good at that stuff. That being said, there are also times, like when I'm really angry, when I don't always remember what I say. And that, my kittens, is my homework. And I am doing my homework. So while I'm aware that I have to work on my delivery, some truths must still be spoken. And it's always when I'm holding back, or when I do not say what must be said, or when I do not have the hard conversation that must be had, that I live to regret it. So this month, we're going to speak our truth. We might talk a little bit about boundaries, or about goals, or about how your goals help you reinforce your boundaries. And if you don't have some goals, maybe we should do that while we're at it. We'll talk about getting brave and having the courage to speak your truth through your own expression of putting a message out into the world or creating art, and how many of us don't do that because we're afraid, or we think we're lazy, or we're feeling irrelevant. But really, it's all fear, right? So let's have some conversations about being brave and finding the courage to say what we need to say. I've had to conquer stuff, and so have you. Let's give each other the space to be heard here. That's kind of the whole point of these conversations. And that's how I'm loving up on you guys, because this whole community is giving you full permission to speak your own truth. Sometimes I might not like it, and sometimes you won't either. So we also have permission to no longer engage if that's the case. Or maybe we can talk about it. I can't wait for you to meet my guest next week. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but she's so courageous. And she has really stepped into herself and embraced her bravery enough to speak her truth when a lot of people were telling her to be quiet. She's living her truth. She's a woman to watch, period. I was going to say she was a woman to watch in aviation, but she's a beacon for all of us, women and men in all walks of life. So come back and see us next week. And in the meantime, know that I'm rooting for you. I'm hoping that you find that courage or that magic to let those words fall out of your mouth, hopefully with intention, but let them come nonetheless. Thank you for joining me on Ascend Legal 101. And kittens, who's cleared for takeoff? You are.